Welcome to Cryptids, Crypts and Coffee. I am one of the hosts, Janine Pipe, and handing over to Lou because I can't remember what I meant to say.
Hello, I'm Lou Yardley. You may recognise me as the monster that lives under your bed. I also write horror and dark fantasy, and today we're joined by the very talented David Green. Hello, David.
Hiya, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. Your first one of 2021, which is great.
So as it's our first one, we're going to do like a bit of a look back on 2020 and a look forward on 2021. But before I get into that, we're going to talk about you, David.
No, I can't do that.
Do you know anything about you?
Don't know anything about me. Well, like I was just saying before we went on, like I'm not really very interested in that I've discovered in the last year. So I think that's why I write so much. It's because I want people to think that I'm interested. But I literally just sit in my house with my son, and then when he goes to bed, before I was writing, I just read about Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. That's pretty much it. That was my life. So no, that's
I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so on Christmas Day, I read your book, Dead Man Walking. Could you tell our many viewers anything about the book? So where did the inspiration come from? Yay! And also, why is it so teeny and adorable?
Why is it teeny and adorable? See, yeah, that's yeah. Well, like, so it's so the first one is part of Black Hair Press's short read series. So there was a word count on them of, I think it's 15,000 words is the word count for the series that they were doing. So I had the idea to do it, and I was like, I'll see if they'll take it. So I did it, and Janine actually was one of the beta readers for it as well. So she read it a long time ago now. Well, I say a long time ago, it was like in the summer, but it feels like a long time ago because
2012.
So I sent it in, and they took it, and so it's the word count for this one is about 11,000 words. So if they put it out at the proper sized book, it'd be about 30 pages long probably, so it'd look even more ridiculous than it already looks.
It's not ridiculous. I love it.
It's cute.
But apparently some people aren't happy because the second one that's coming out in March is quite a lot bigger, and it's going to be a standard sized book. So you can have the baby version and the daddy version of them. But yeah, that was that. So it was just an idea that I had for a while, like I'm a big. A lot of people kind of have compared it to Dresden, which is cool because I started reading Dresden after this, and I knew about it, but I was a big fan of Hellblazer when I was growing up, Constantine and all that kind of stuff, and I had this kind of idea where it was like. Sort of like if it was like Constantine, but he was more of a detective and more noirish and a little bit more fantasy than Constantine was. So I kind of aimed for that, and then as a treat, when I finished it, I read the first Dresden book, and I was like, oh no, I've made it a bit too simple for Dresden. But then I was like, well, it's done now, so I can't change it.
I mean, there is a bit of a Dresden vibe, but it's very different, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a wizard.
He is, yeah, he is. Yeah. And like that was one of the things that I wanted to kind of in my own head when I kind of sat down to do it. I was like, Nick Halloran is not magical at all. Like he's just a regular bloke that has seen what the world is really like, and it's like, how does someone kind of live with that? What do they do once they know that like heaven is real and hell is real and all this kind of stuff? And the second one kind of explores that a little bit more in terms of like, because it's a bigger book, so there's more time to kind of look into how he kind of coped with that kind of news when he first kind of came, when he kind of like awakened, I suppose, or as he says at the start of his second life. And so there's a lot of that going on in the second one. And there's more characters in the second one as well. There's more kind of time to kind of look at his relationships with other people and how the world works and all that kind of stuff. So it was tricky writing it actually. I've never written a sequel before, and it picks up immediately at the end of the first one. So the first scene is from a different POV actually. So Nick's first scene is immediately from the end of the first book, and it was really kind of tricky just to kind of get back into that mind space and go, okay, like, because in between I wrote a dark fantasy book, which is the start of the series. So I was very much in that kind of headspace, and I was like, right, I need to get out of here and get back into Nick's head for a little bit. So I listened to lots of 90s grunge music and watched a lot of like detective films and stuff like that, which was fun.
Cool. When's the sequel out?
So that one is out on March the 5th. Yes, March the 5th.
Oh,
yeah.
Not long.
Not long. I only actually just finished it last week. So I only just finished it. The Black Air Press were very excited about it. And it kind of like, it got to number one in a few of the charts on Amazon because like we kind of like did a promotion on it and they got very, very excited. And then they announced the release date of the second one, and I was like, I've not actually finished writing it yet. Like,
no pressure or anything.
No, that's it. They obviously had faith in you that you could produce the goods. So
no. And it was like I was at a bit of the book where I was kind of really procrastinating because it was a bit where I was like, I need to do this chapter and I have to do it in a certain way, and I kept on just like putting it off. And I'd go back and work on stuff before it, and then I'd like just go off and do like a little short story for something else. And I was like, I really need to finish this, or even start doing this chapter. And then like they announced the release date and the pre-order and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to finish. So yeah,
it's finished now.
It's finished. Yeah, it's finished. It's done. So we'll see like how it does and what people think, because people seem to have liked the first one. So we'll have to just see if people like the second one as much, or maybe even hopefully a little bit more. That'll be nice.
Awesome.
Are there plans to do like a whole series, or is it just these two?
Yeah, there's going to be a full series. So the second one has a little tease at the end of the title for the next book, which I'll tell you two while I'm on here. No one else knows the title.
Exclusive.
Huh? Exclusive, yeah.
Exclusive.
So book 3 is called One Life Left. So it's the second one kind of there's a bit of a tease as to where the series is going to go after the second book. So I think I'm going to do 5 of them. I think in my head it's 5 books.
Sign me up.
We'll see what you think after the second one. You might be like, oh, I've had enough of this. Yeah, 5 at least, and then there's wriggle room for prequel kind of side stories and stuff like that. If people want me to do them, I'm weird. Like I kind of, when I'm writing something, I'll write the character's history. So I'll be like, this is where they went to school, and this is this, and this is this. And I also write like notes for like, this is a job that he did here, and this is what happened. And it's just like little things like this. So I've got like a notebook, which is half of it is full of jobs and cases that he might have done in the 5-year time jump in the first book. And so I've got like, if anyone wants them, I can write them. Like, people might not want them, but they're there anyway.
Will they get progressively bigger, like longer?
Maybe. I mean, the first one is 3 times the size length, and probably the size as well. It's probably going to be 3 times the size as well because it's a small book. But it's 33,000 words is the second one, and I'd kind of like to keep it around that length. I think for them. I like. I mean, I'm a fantasy reader as well as a horror reader, and like I like big books. Like I'm a big Wheel of Time fan, and the shortest Wheel of Time book is 700 pages long, like, and a couple of them are like pages. Yeah.
I'm
So
aiming to
big
start
book.
that series this year,
Oh yeah.
and it's a bit daunting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very daunting. I'll tell you that I've read it 20 times from start to finish, so I'm very like weird. It's like, but like, so I like big books. But I think at the moment there's a big kind of I'm not just doing it because it's in or anything at the moment, but I think it suits that style as well. But there is a big kind of push for shorter kind of reads and novella length stuff at the moment, and I think with the style that I've written it in as well, it's very kind of fast paced, and I think if I went over like 40,000 words, it'd be kind of just stretching it, I think, and I don't really want to do that. So, know your limits and know when people have had enough.
I like novellas. They're easy to read. None of this big stuff for me.
Yeah.
I'm one of these people that just writes and writes.
Yes. Lou's books are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
It happens. Like I was reading an interview with Patrick Rothfuss, who's like who's been writing his third book in his series for like 10 years or something, and he was actually going on about like, oh, I just can't get into long series that every single book is like 700 pages. He's like, I know I write those kind of books, but I just can't get into them.
So is your fantasy book the one that's coming out this year? Is that quite long, or is that a short read?
That's a novella as well, actually. It's a novella series. So the first one, the first one is called In Solitude's Shadow. It's coming from Erie River. I think it's in June sometime. I'm not sure I don't think there actually is an exact date yet, other than June. But the idea of that one is they want to get it's a trilogy called the Empire of Ruin trilogy, and they want to get the full trilogy out within 6 months of each other. The idea is that in the first book, like if you get it on the ebook or something, there'll be the pre-order link for the second book and all that kind of stuff at the end of it and what have you. So the first one of that, and the first draft was about 35,000, and then the second draft was about 45,000, because I went back in, and when I had more of kind of an idea of where I was going to take the next two books, I went back in and just wrote a couple of extra things and everything. So that they're going to be around, I'd say, like the second one and the third one will be about the 50k mark, but which is unusual for fantasy as well. Like obviously, like they're a bit longer, but again, that's the way that's actually the publisher wanted that side. So, which is tricky because with fantasy, like when you'd know, Lou, your books, world building is so key with it. So it's a tricky way to kind of get the world building in there without actually just having a chapter that's just like devoted to someone saying this is why this is like this. This is
the history of the world.
Yeah. Because fantasy fans do like that. But the good thing about it, well, I was able to help like make a map, which is something that has been a long held ambition for me. Big map fan, so I was like, yes, get to do a map.
Is the map going to be in the book?
I hope so. I mean, it's probably not going to be the one that I made because it wasn't very good. But it kind of like it when the publisher sent it out to. It's actually with beta readers at the moment, and the feedback started coming back in, and like they've all kind of said like that the map is helpful, like which it is in fantasy books. Like I mean, there's a few series that I know, like Joe Abercrombie doesn't put a map in his, and one of his big criticisms of from readers is that they find it hard for the geography of places. So yeah, I think it will be. It won't be the one I made it on this program on the internet, like for like one of these for free, and it's really it's like my first map. Like it's terrible. Yeah, and I was like, I'll draw it, but then I was like, I don't have a scanner, so like, and I was like, I'll find something where I can make it, and it's just like it's the worst thing in the world, but you know, it helps a little bit. It's like they've got little icons on it for mountains and stuff. It's really basic. It's quite embarrassing. I can't actually believe that there's people looking at it with this map on it like this, going like, who the hell has made this?
But did you have fun making it?
I had loads of fun. I loved it.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's the main point.
It was one of the best days of my life making a map. I loved it.
There you go.
Did you ever do that thing where you were a kid, when you were a kid and you made a map and then tea stained it to make it look old?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Put it in the oven under the grill.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a real 1980s upbringing. That was, I think, wasn't it?
Okay, so shall we move on to 2020 or look back to 2020? So what we'll do is we'll go around. So David go first, then Janine, then me, and if we each go through our like top 5 or top 10 reads of last year,
Okay.
however many you've got. Okay, David.
All right. So I have 5, I think, and a couple. Yeah, I've got 5 and a couple of honourable mentions as well. So I think the best book that I read last year is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I don't know if you two read that one.
I haven't read it, but I've seen a lot about it. Yeah, it does look very good.
Yeah, it's great. I think I think it's a TV show coming out on Amazon. I think this year, or maybe Apple. But it was great because like it's real Gothic horror, but it's like it's from like Latin America as well, which is like unusual for Gothic horror, and it's like it's got bits of fantasy and it's got bits of mystery and thriller in it as well, and it's like it doesn't hold back on the gore either, which is great for like Gothic horror. Sometimes restrains itself, and this one doesn't, so that was good. So that was really good. Well, not even good, it was great. I really liked it. And another horror one that I really liked was a debut from Alexis Henderson called Year of the Witching.
It's on my list as well.
On your list?
Brilliant. Yeah,
that was really, really good. I can't believe that was the first book as well. It's so good. It's crazy. Switching gears a little bit, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan, and there's a series from James Lovegrove that he's doing like new Sherlock Holmes adventures, and he had a new one out called Beast of the Stapletons, which is a sequel to Hound of the Baskervilles.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and that was really good. It's really faithful to like the old books, but it's updated. So it's like if I suppose if Arthur Conan Doyle was writing them today with today's kind of standards of writing. They're really good. They're really fun. He's got a whole series of them. He's got like a Christmas one as well, a Christmas themed one, which is I saw in all the shops. Well, not in the shops, but online shops. Girls not in any shops. But it was
well, you can't go to shops.
Yeah. What else was good? There's 2 Dresden books this year that came out. I think they came out on the same day as each other. I think it was like a few weeks in between. But they were basically like the same book split into 2 bits. So the Battlegrounds one I thought was the better of the 2 because like Peace Talks was just setting up Battlegrounds. It's like the payoff for it. So that was really good. Big Joe Abercrombie fan as well. So the new book Trouble with Peace is excellent. I like it. It's a lot better than the first one in this new series, which came out last year, which is called A Little Hatred, which I love the title, but I just couldn't get it. It took me ages to get into it because I don't know what it was. It was like, well, I do know what it was, so I don't know why I'm lying to myself. But it was like the chapters were so short, and there were so many different POVs at the start that it was just jumping around from every character. So every time I was kind of just getting into like one of the characters, it had changed to someone else, and I was kind of like, I just wish you'd just stay for a little bit longer with someone. But then, like about halfway through the book, it kind of you get used to it. But then the second book, the new one that came out this year, it just does it a lot better, and you're used to all the new characters and everything. The Raven by Jonathan Janz was really good. I think it's his best book. I really, really enjoyed that one. Also, I read this book.
Hey!
That looks familiar.
Which is great. I loved it. I really loved it. I loved Outbury as well. It was so well realised, and I can't wait for Creep. Which is that out this year? Is it?
Creep will be out this year, and Everfrost as well. And Everfrost is a sequel to that, and Creep is the prequel.
They're on my list to look forward to for 2021. Then, but I love that one, and also as well, like one of my favorite indie writers is a guy called Tim Mendes, and he had a novella out this year called The Burning Reflection, which is like a Lovecraftian novella, and that was really good as well. I liked it a lot. He's a great writer though. He's really he's like he's from the same part of England as me, and he has a lot of he's a big fan of Carry On films, and like I always say that his style of like Lovecraft is like Carry On Cthulhu, which I'd love to see him do it. The only thing that kind of like maybe not on my list would be If It Bleeds by Stephen King, which I just could not get into, unfortunately. I'm a big Stephen King fan as well, and I just couldn't get into it. I don't know why. I was really excited to read it as well. I told someone that on a group, and like I got absolutely just like hated by a bunch of people. And, I was like, well, oh well, he's got plenty of other books for people to read, I suppose.
Yeah.
I find it so weird when people get upset like someone else doesn't like a book.
Yeah. I'm the queen of unpopular opinion, as I found out when I slated the film Hereditary, and I nearly got my horror card revoked.
Yeah.
But like, I don't follow the crowd. I don't do peer pressure. If you don't like something, so fucking what? It doesn't matter.
And then on the other side of the coin, if you do like it, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very kind of like seasoned with this kind of stuff. As I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and there's no one that hates Star Wars as much as other Star Wars fans. Like they just hate everything that gets made, and it's like just like I liked it, and then like if you say something like, "Oh, I liked this aspect of Star Wars," you'll get like about 1 million people that'll be like, "You're not a Star Wars fan if you like this." And it's like, well, I thought that I was, but. But there you go. But so yeah, there is a. I had the Stephen King version of that anyway. But a few people came to my rescue and also agreed with me that they said it wasn't his best. But you know, it's just so prolific. Like he's not always going to be like hitting everything out of the park. Like it's impossible to do it. Like he writes so much stuff, and he's changed his style as well. Like in the last 10 years, I suppose, which some people like and some people don't. And I don't mind either way, actually. I like old King, I like new King, but it was interesting just to kind of see like the battle lines being drawn because some people in this group were like, all the stuff that he's written since this time has been rubbish, and it's like, whoa, okay. Well, yeah, that's me anyway. So kind of a mixed kind of genre, really. Like, well, that's kind of the way it is. I suppose that's the way that I write as well. Like I jump around genres anyway, so. Yeah, that's me.
Cool. Okay. Shall I go? I have no surprises whatsoever on my list, and I only read horror last year. Nothing else even remotely different, so it's incredibly boring. But number one is Lou. Can you make a guess? What's my number one?
Is it Glenn?
Yeah. So number one, Until Summer Comes Around by Glenn Rolfe. Number two, Misfits. Finally read it, yeah. Number two, Misfits by Hunter Shea. Number three, The Raven by Jonathan Janz. Probably not my favourite Janz, which I think at the moment is Wolfland, but I agree. It was a very, very, very good book. Number four, Tomb of Gods by Brian Moreland. So my top four are all Flame Tree as well. And then number five, Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. So all just straight horror. But I don't care. I love them. They were all brilliant. So that was me.
Mine's mostly horror. I've got The Year of the Witch in by Alexis Henderson. All Systems Red by Martha Wells, which is a sci-fi novella, and it's the start of her Murderbot series. And it's like first person through this like half robot, half human's eyes. And I've never related to a character more than I have Murderbot. It's just so awkward.
That's gonna be your new nickname now, Murderbot.
Murderbot. Misfits by Hunter Shea.
Yay!
The Midwives by Duncan Ralston. I read that quite early on in 2020. It's really good. And my favourite book of last year was Maggie's Grave by Friend of the show,
yes.
David Sodgren.
Brilliant.
Also got some honourable mentions, which were Until Summer Comes Around. I didn't include it because I didn't read it till this year. Bone Harvest by James Brogden, which was in an Abominable Book Club box, which we need to mention.
We do, yes. We need to give them a shout out.
Maggie's Grave was also in the last box as well.
Ah,
so I've got the paperback now, and it's signed.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're going to do a quick shout out for Abominable Book Club.
That's why I let you say it, because I can't say it. It's one of my many words. I'm like,
yeah, I can't say it either. It's one of those words that I won't actually even write it, because if I ever have to read something, I've got it in my no.
Yeah. When I messaged Lou this morning to remember to say about it, I kept putting abdominal every single time, and I was like, I can't say it now. I can't write it either.
Abdominal is a lot easier to say though as well. For some.
It is, yeah.
But you
It might
never
be a different
know
kind
when
of
to end. You never know when to end saying abominable.
That's
Exactly.
Too many ibbles. The word of ibble.
So, can you, since you are an actual legit subscriber to Abominable, what do you get? What do you get in your box?
I've been a subscriber since pretty much the first box, or maybe the second box. You get a brand new novel, and it's usually signed or with a book plate. You get a second-hand novel, which is always wrapped in like these cute little bundles, and blood splattered. There's usually a magazine, and snacks and drinks. So
Snacks.
Snacks.
I'm all in now.
Yeah.
Books are fine, but snacks. Woo!
Yeah.
So then you can have like a cup of hot chocolate and a snack while you're reading.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I love loot crates. I love them. They're such a great idea.
Yeah.
And like book ones are just the best ones in the world. Like like a new book that someone might think that you like. That's like with some hot chocolate and a snack. What's more to like?
Definitely.
Oh, and they've also started doing like badge pins as well. Horror themed badge pins. That's really cool. So we're going to put the link below and people can sign up.
So what was the thing that you had where one of your ebooks was in it? Was that the same thing or is it different?
So there's an ebook as well.
Right.
Not only do you get all that stuff, you get an ebook as well.
That's so cool. And how much is that a month?
I do I pay for 3 months in one go, and it's about, I think it's £59, something like that, for the 3 months.
That's really reasonable then as well. Yeah, definitely. Wow. Okay. Because that's almost what I pay for one Nightworms, and I know that's got the international shipping and all of that involved with it, and it's well worth it for a treat. But that seems like a really good deal. Definitely
do it. And they've also
yes.
started doing a couple of kids ones as well, where you can get Goosebumps and Point Horrors and all that. I'm tempted to sign up.
Awesome. There we go.
Goosebumps, don't you? Anyway, Janine, you love all that. You love all that kind of young adult horror as well, though, don't you? As well. I see the
yeah, definitely.
When she said how much it was, you were kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like my son's a bit too young for it. I mean, he's only just turned 3, so he's still into, like, he loves reading, but he's not into. He actually loves horror stuff as well, which is kind of he was obsessed with Halloween, and like around Halloween to get him to eat his dinner, I had to keep on pretending that I was like a different Halloween monster, and I'd be like, the vampire wants to eat the broccoli.
Well, that's brilliant.
So it's kind of like picture books for like horror and stuff like that. But I can't wait to get him into like Goosebumps and all that kind of stuff when he's a little bit older. It'll be good fun.
Have you seen the book that I saw Red Cape Publishing like sharing by Gemma Paul?
Yeah, we've got them. Yeah, he loves them. He thinks he thinks he gets a bit too excited by them. Actually, his favourite
Oh,
bat that learns to fly, so he tries to learn to fly when he's reading it, which is it's caused quite a lot. I should tell her actually that she's responsible for a few bumps.
oh, that's so
put,
cute.
put it in the review. But no, he loves that one. They're really nice books actually. Like they're she's got her own publishing imprint now. So her new ones are coming out through her. They're called Raven and Drake, and her new ones are coming out through that. I think she's got like a few more coming. But yeah, they're really really good. So if anyone's listening that have got kids, I would highly recommend them.
When my niece is a bit older, I'm going to get her some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
She might be slightly too young. Yeah.
So, a week and a half.
Bless her.
Okay. I did mine, didn't I? Yes.
Yep.
I know what I'm doing. Next up, it's 2021. Yay! And it's completely different to 2020 because we can still not go outside.
Nothing's changed at all.
So, what are we all planning to read this year? What are we looking forward to? What are we excited for? Obviously, my books.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. They're there now. Yeah. So for me, right, there's a few things that I'm really excited for, books and TV. I was going to think about saying going to the cinema, but I reckon we probably won't be going to the cinema this year either until
I don't think
I
so.
did. I can't wait. I can't wait for that to go back to the cinema. But anyway, as I've just mentioned before, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I love the Star Wars books. They're my guilty pleasure. I'll fight anyone about them. There's a new kind of like series that they've just launched called The High Republic, which is like about when Yoda was younger, when he was about 300 or something. And the first book has just come out, so just about and almost finished that one. And there's like about 6 books out of them this year, so I'm really excited for those. But I have to. My big thing that I have to do this year is I have to catch up on Brandon Sanderson books because I've read Mistborn and I read Way of Kings, and then I've not read any other of his books, and I've got all of them, and they're just building up on my shelf. And I'm like, oh, every time I look at them, I get so much guilt because they're just there, these big, massive, big books that are just bigger than my head. And I'm like, I have to read one of these books at some point soon, but there's so many things to read as well. And I really can't wait for Later by Stephen King because it seems like it's been getting great reviews because that's out in March as well. So I'm going to look forward to that. And then TV wise and film, really looking forward to the Halloween sequel that got delayed from this year because I thought the last one that came out was really good. So I'm looking forward to that. It's Halloween Kills, I think it's called, isn't it? And then TV wise, there's Wheel of Time TV show, Lord of the Rings TV show, the Boba Fett TV show, and The Witcher season 2 are all out this year. I wish one of them was out now because it would give me something to watch.
Yeah. Just rewatch The Mandalorian.
Yeah, been there, done that. Watched it a few times. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because like normally there's always something out somewhere, but it's thank God for books because if there wasn't people writing books, then like what would we have done for the last year? Drank.
Exactly. I did that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it my turn then? Are you done? Is that all that you had on your list, David?
That's all I'm looking for. Well, I'm looking forward to more things, but I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. I haven't got any TV or films or anything because I just didn't even know what was out this year. But I agree with everything that you've said with those. Okay, so I have got. I am looking forward to. Glenn's got several things out this year. He's got Alien Ascension coming out soon, and August Eyes coming out with Flame Tree Press, and some stuff with Silver Shamrock as well, some novellas and whatnot. So looking forward to those. Looking forward to Dead Daughters, Paradise Club, and Malignant Summer from Tim Meyer. Bigfoot in the Bronx and the new Flame Tree from Hunter. Anything else from the Death Head Press Splatterpunk Western series, which is just absolutely amazing. They're the new things. And then I'm finally hoping to read, I've got all of the Messy Man series from Chris Sorensen. And then Michael Clark sent me a gorgeous the full complete trilogy of the Patience of a Dead Man series, which just got Well Red Beard just did that for his #1 book of last year as well. So, and it's a trilogy, but he sent me the whole beautiful full one. So those are the ones that I'm really looking forward to at the moment. But as we know, there's just stuff released all the time, isn't there? Just everybody's releasing things constantly.
I saw your plea the other day.
Yeah, like writers, just stop, please. Can you see these shelves? They're full.
Let me catch up.
Let me catch up first. That's it.
We've got nothing else to do. Like, we just have to just keep doing it. That's just what we have to do. Otherwise.
I know, but I have no time to actually read the buggers. That's the problem.
I know. I was talking to someone. I've got something, like I signed a contract for something there recently enough, and it's not been announced yet or anything. But I was talking to the guy the other day, and I was like, "Is there any chance we can just like delay it till next year? Because I'm almost sick of myself at this stage. So, could you just bring it out next year, please?" And he was like, "What have you got this year?" So I was like, "Well, I've got this, and this," and he was like, "Yeah, I think we'll just bring it out next year." I was like, Thank God for that.
Definitely. 2021 is going to be as busy as last year, because you were in like loads of anthologies last year, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. There's more to come this year that I've already kind of had stuff accepted for that aren't out. So I think there's about 40 different anthologies out this year that I've got stuff in.
Good Lord.
From stuff from last year. So yeah, so in a way, I will be doing less because I'm going to be concentrating more on my series tracks them, and I will get sued if I don't deliver the manuscripts on time. So like, I have to do those, and I'm doing a little bit more kind of like project work. But I also as well, I've launched a publisher with 2 other people, so we're going to be doing quite a lot of that stuff as well. They call it Breaking Rules Europe. So we're doing that. So we've got some anthologies. We've got a call at the moment actually, and we've got some authors signed up that we've inherited from the place where we kind of spun out of. So I'm going to be doing a lot more kind of editing and formatting work than I did last year. So yes, there'll be lots of stuff, but I actually will be doing kind of less. No. Yeah. Well, not less, just different things, I suppose. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But still busy.
Still busy. Well, that's the way though, isn't it? Because like, it's great that we can do this from home. Because like, if it was something else that we were doing, and it's the lucky thing is like that people are still reading the stuff. It's always nice when people like leave you a review or something, or they like ask when's the next thing out or whatever, and it's like, oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to, Lou?
As I was saying before we started recording, I've made a spreadsheet for my TBR list now, and it's like 100 books. And I haven't even been through all my Kindle books yet. So, but I'm aiming to read 100 books this year. So far, I've read 8, which is pretty good going for me.
That's good.
I'm aiming to make a start on the Wheel of Time series because it's one that's been hanging around in my TBR for years, but I keep putting it off because it's so big. So not only is each book big, there's like how many? 15?
There's 14 in the main series, and then there's the prequel that you have to read after the 10th book. So yeah, there's a lot. Like there's 3. I think 3 of the books are over 1,000 pages long.
Bloody hell.
They're big books, but I think they're brilliant. Like I love them. They're my favourite series. So I hope you like them.
And I thought I'd break that up a bit with the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson.
Break it up a bit. Wow.
Other than that, I've got some horror that I need to catch up on. I've got Nocturnal Farm by Villamay Mist, The Worm and His Kings by Hayley Piper,
Yeah.
The Gulp by Alan Baxter, that was just released a few days ago. Tomb of Gods by Brian Morland, because I really want to read the Spider bit.
Realise what a fucking wuss I am, yeah.
And I wanted to read The Forgotten Island by David Sodergren for the same reason. And also about like 500 other books that I wanted to read, but we'll see how that goes.
I still can't get over the fact that you're going to break up the Wheel of Time with Brandon Sanderson. Like, I thought you were going to say something like a book of short stories or something. But
yeah. Break it up with your novellas.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe. You probably, but if you started reading Wheel of Time like today, by June you'd probably be about halfway through. So. Yeah, I'm rereading them again myself at the minute because I do a podcast with another fella who's never read them before. So we're doing kind of like a read through of them, and he's kind of like, I'm like, what do you think's going to happen next? And he's like, well, I think that this, I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, we kind of do that, so it's fun to kind of do it that way. But man, yeah, they're really I've been trying to get my wife to read them for about. Jesus, I've done mental blank of how long we've been married for. It's because it's 21. I can't remember what year it was. That was all. Yeah, for 11 years I've been trying to get her to read The Wheel of Time, but she's refused to because she looks at them and she's like, "This is too big."
I'd be the same. I've got no interest in books like that whatsoever. I just can't. My attention span's too short.
I find there's just something about like digging into a book that size where you've got like the whole world in it.
Exactly.
At the end of last year, I read the Raven Song trilogy by Anthony Ryan. Don't know if you've read that one.
Mm-hmm.
And you just immerse yourself in this world and forget that the real world isn't there. Or the real world is there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's my list. I'm sure it will grow as the year goes on. In fact, it's grown after today when I write down all the ones you said.
Yeah, so they're just the things I'm looking forward to. They're not like half of those aren't even out yet, so they're not even on my TBR as in like what I've actually got to read at the moment.
Yeah.
And then I'll start watching Well Red Beard and Cameron later on YouTube, and it's just add that one.
Yeah, it's almost like you kind of like worried to watch something sometimes, or look at like Goodreads or something to see what everyone else has been reading because you're like, I really want to read that, but like I've got like a room full of books that I've not read yet, and I've got a Kindle full of stuff that I've not even. I've looked at the front cover and gone, this looks really good. I'm going to buy this. It's like
99p. I'll have that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
My Kindle's now 21 pages of books, and I'm like, oh my god. I've only had it about 6 months as well, so that's quite impressive.
It's almost like a little book of books. It's just a book of covers that you can just flick through.
Yeah, exactly. Just look at how many books I've got.
Before I made my TBR spreadsheet, I would look through the books for ages trying to decide which book to read next.
Yeah.
Take longer to decide what you're going to read than you could have read a whole book in that time.
Yeah, like I do that with books, and I do it with TV series as well, especially with streaming. So I'll be like, either one, I'll be looking through them, and because I get so much anxiety about deciding what to do next, I just go back and just read or watch something that I've already done because I'm comforted by it. It's like a blanket. I'm like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
This is safe.
And while the other pile grows, and it's like, well, we'll forget about you for a little while.
Definitely. Well, especially with review. I was just going to say, especially with reviewing, I got sent 9 books last week to read, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just last week, another 9 to add to the pile. Yeah.
Do you have like a deadline for reviews?
Some of them, yeah. And some of them are only like a couple of weeks as well.
Oh,
That's the flip side. The good side of reviewing is you get books obviously for free and people trust you to read them and promote them and stuff. Then the bad side is when you've got a deadline and then you look at all the books that you've bought and you want to read and you can't read them because you've got something that somebody sent you with a deadline. But it's pros and cons.
yeah. What do you do when like you're reading something that you just can't get into for review? Like, and you have to review it.
Yeah, it's difficult because, and that happened to me with something that I'm reviewing for Scream magazine. So obviously a big thing to review for. You're not allowed to DNF because they want a review. So I ended up having to give a one skull review for it, and I felt awful because basically I was saying I hate this book. And I probably would have just DNF'd it and just left it to kind of say just wasn't my style, wasn't my cup of tea. But I had to say what I didn't like about it and whatnot. And that made me feel really bad because somebody else might pick it up and think it's amazing. It was written like a stream of consciousness, you know, so like somebody had just gone in and thrown all these words onto the page. And it messed with my mind. I couldn't follow it. But someone else might absolutely love that. But it is hard. Yeah, if you're told to review something, especially if it's for like something like a Scream or whatnot, you have to do it.
Yeah.
It can be a bit awkward, especially if you know the writer. Luckily I didn't. I don't know the press and I don't know the writer. They sent it to me through the magazine, so we didn't have any like personal conversations or anything. But otherwise, yeah, it can be really awkward.
Yeah. Good luck to you. I just feel like everything's great. It's just everything is just amazing.
So I keep thinking, oh, maybe I would like to get into like proper reviewing, but that kind of thing worries me.
Yeah.
I get anxiety about that.
Yeah.
And also, if it was just books that I picked for myself, I tend to only pick books that I know I like.
Yeah.
So it'll be like 4 or 5 stars.
Yeah, that's it. And then sometimes the magazines or the review sites like you to give a lower review as well, because it kind of shows integrity, that you're not just giving people 5-star reviews all the time to kind of almost like be popular, if that makes sense. You know, you like sometimes you have to give a lower review to show that you're showing honesty and that you can do that. But it feels awful, especially being a writer and knowing how much hard work's gone into producing that in the first place, to having it accepted and printed and out in the world, and then like I'm saying I don't like it. It's not nice. Not a nice feeling.
But luckily it doesn't happen often.
No, that's it. No, not very often, thank God. Most of the time I'm like, yay, I loved it.
Especially if it's Glen or Hunter.
Exactly.
Can't wait to read that Bigfoot thing.
It's amazing. It is, yeah. I beta read it and it is just phenomenal. Yeah. And that is one of my favourite sides of doing stuff. Beta reading is just brilliant. It's so fun to be able to do that.
You do know I'm going to chuck my next book at you for beta reading.
Well, I was expecting it anyway.
Good.
Yeah.
It's not a novella.
Oh. Just clear my schedule for the next 2 months. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. What are your resolutions, like writerly resolutions for this year? Starting with David.
Right. Okay. So first of all, my is to finish the things that I'm contracted for that I have to finish. Like it's like I just have to do them. But like I kind of have to wait with these ones as well, because like say with a fantasy series, like it's a dark fantasy series. The first one is out with the beta readers now, and then it's going to come back to me with notes, and then I've got the synopsis for books 2 and 3 written already. But then I have to wait for notes for the second and third one to see if there's anything. Sorry, for the first one, to see if I need to make any kind of changes that will kind of change the second and third one. And then So as soon as those notes come back to me and I can look at it, I can start working on the second one. But the deadline for that one is a lot shorter than the first one, which has been a lot longer time, which is fine, like, because I know where I'm kind of going with it, but I need to just get those and kind of focus on those first and make them good. Like, so that's because if anyone actually like buys the first one, like, I have to make sure the second one is better for a reward for people for sticking with it. Same with the second Halloran book, The Devil Walks in Blood. Like, I was really kind of like, I have to make this better than the first book. It has to be, like, because I don't want to let people down with like a bad book. So that's the first thing. Well, and the other thing after that as well is I just want to become like a better writer, which is like a really kind of fluffy thing to say. But what I mean by that is that I just want to I want to actually read more, because I think 2020 was the year that I kind of read less than any year that I can remember.
Probably because all that writing you did.
Exactly, because there's a lot of that. So I need to but I think I think the best way, it's like anything, the best way to get better at something is to practice at it, which is obviously with writing is by writing, but also with writing it's different because you have to look at, like, I do use beta readers and I get feedback and everything, and I think it's invaluable. But the other thing as well is to immerse yourself in writing and to look at what people are doing that's new and say, okay, well, this is something that I wouldn't have considered before. And the only way to do that is to read new things. And like I said before, like when I'm feeling a little bit kind of overwhelmed by choice, I usually just go back to something that I already know because it's safe and it's nice and comforting. And I need to kind of stop doing that and just be like, right, I'm going to read something completely new that maybe isn't even in a genre that I'd usually read or anything, just to kind of just push myself a little bit and just to kind of improve. So that's my New Year's resolutions. Yeah, I usually stick with them. 2 years ago, I said I was going to grow a beard, then I grew a beard, and then last year I was like, I'm going to get one thing published, and that's all. Quite good at New Year's resolutions. So.
Overachiever.
Yeah. Okay, right. I've got loads, so let's have a look. So my first one is to be more organised with my reviews. And just before we came on, Lou and I were chatting, and I said I've bought myself a reading log, something like you would have in school, basically, where I actually write down what I've started, when the reviews are due for, and all that kind of stuff. Because especially now I'm reviewing for Scream, for Beyond the Veil, for Nightworms and everything else, I just need to know what I'm doing when it needs to be done by. So that's one.
I love that idea.
Yeah. I need to work on I need to start my slasher novel, which I had before we went back into lockdown. I've got all the ideas ready for it and just have done absolutely nothing. But I think also got to remember that homeschooling being and all that has to come first. So kind of not putting any pressure on myself, but also knowing that that's there bubbling away. I need to do, and coinciding with that, I need to do some more content for the Patreon channel, just to make sure, because I said that I was going to do things like little like exclusives and snippets and stuff ready for so even like polls to do with names and things like that for the slasher book. I need to do more work on my booktube channel, and I need to, now that I'm the official press officer for Candisha, I've got loads and loads of stuff already coming through for that. Basically, Jill is absolutely gorgeous and lovely and whatnot, but she's similar to you in a way, Lou, but she's even more shy than you, and she will not go on.
Possible?
I know. She will not go on podcasts. She just won't do it. She's too shy, basically, even though she's more than capable. So Muggins here is going to be doing all of the podcasts and interviews and anything for Candisha. So I got about 5 or 6 of those lined up to go on and go, hi!
Me again.
Yeah, it's me again. Yeah, one with some women that have got it's called Slash Her podcast out of Vegas, so that should be quite cool. Yeah. So yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yes. And then all the usual things I've got, like to keep working on submissions and whatnot. But yeah, just that kind of thing. So plenty to work on, plenty to go with, but remembering not to put the pressure on, because we can only do what we can do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're good. You review for a lot of places.
Yeah.
I didn't think that list
That's
was
why she needs the book.
It's like, so I've been reviewing for the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal.
That's next week. I start my job with the New York Times. Yeah.
He hasn't done the announcement yet.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That'll be an exclusive.
Alright, so mine are in the same sort of vein, really. The first one is to be kind to myself and not put strict deadlines, because I'm one of these people that's like, oh, I have to have my book out by this day, so I have to get it edited and be beta read and everything. But I'm not going to do that this year. But I am aiming to finish Everfrost and get it out, and Creep and get it out. I'm also working on building the world of Venari on a site called World Anvil. I don't know if either of you have heard of that, but it's a really cool kind of, almost like a wiki kind of site. But you can, so you can have a page for each character and how they link to each other and each place and the stories that go on in each place. So I'm trying to remember, like I did last year, I did a bunch of short stories as commissions for people. So it will have where your story was set, Janine, and
brilliant, yeah,
all that. And all the monsters I mentioned in all of them, including that mutant slug.
Yay!
So that's another plan.
Cool.
It's a great site. I'm using it at the moment as well. It's brilliant. It's really
good.
Yeah.
And also I'm going to do more stuff on my Patreon as well. I've just added some like new merch rewards, and they're the ones that Patreon fulfill as well, so I don't need to worry about sending anything out. And also the other one is a nice simple one. I'm going to try and like handwrite more, because I was in a bit of a writing slump like so far this year, but then I started handwriting stuff for my new book, and it's all good now.
That's great. That's great. That works. It must just like shift your brain like from one thing to another.
Yeah. And I have teeny writing, so I can fill lots to a page.
Is that not a pain in the ass to have to type it up afterwards, though?
Not really, because it means that I can kind of edit that bit as I go along.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I can reread it and think, I can phrase that a bit better, or I can add that bit in or take that bit out.
Okay. You've got lovely handwriting, so that makes a difference. Whereas if
small.
there's some.
Yeah, she's got beautiful handwriting. All of my lovely Lou books are all signed up there. If I'm taking my time, like if I'm writing a greetings card or something, I've got lovely cursive teacher handwriting that I learned from when I was working in the school. But if I'm doing something in a hurry, it's like an ant has scrawled across the page. So I don't think I can
in a hurry writing is awful.
Yeah.
Only I can read it.
It's awful. Like I'm a massive note taker. Like I can't do notes on computer. Like I type on computer, but I can't make notes on it. So I have to do everything by hand. And sometimes like I'll be writing something and I'll just check my notes and I'll be looking at them. I'll be like, what am I trying to say to myself? I don't understand what's written.
That's what I'm like. If I have an idea in the middle of the night and I like quickly like scribble it down in my notebook, I wake up this morning and go, what does that mean?
I did that. That's you won't be able to see, but that was my notes for today's show. And I looked at it this morning and I was like, what did I write? What book did I read? What is that supposed to say? It's terrible.
I do this thing where like when I'm writing something in a hurry, my writing starts to get smaller and like it's excited and it starts to like it's like this. I'm like, why do I do this to myself? And it's like, just write everything in block capitals that I might be able to understand in like a week's time or something. But no, I don't ever do that.
Do you shorthand, Lou, or is that all longhand as well?
Longhand.
Whoa. It's impressive.
If I did shorthand, I'd forget what it meant.
Yeah. I'd be the same, yeah.
I'm like, well, what's that?
This might have been really good.
Yeah.
Shame.
It's could have been my best
I've
work
ever
ever. I don't know what it was.
Oh, I'm changing the subject completely.
Awesome.
David, your fantasy novellas that are coming out,
Yeah.
what were they about? Is it like high fantasy or dark fantasy? You said dark fantasy, didn't you?
Yeah, it's dark fantasy with like quite dark fantasy in a lot of aspects of it, and the second one is going to be quite a lot darker as well, which obviously you have to with a trilogy. But obviously with dark fantasy, there's no happy resolution anyway. That's part of the whole thing. But yeah, they're so it's about so it's set in a continent called Houtwelt, which is like it's like a Mediterranean flavored place actually, because like I was kind of thinking like what can I do that's a little bit different with fantasy, and a lot of it's kind of like Renaissance or medieval. So I was kind of thinking it's always Northern European for a lot of it. So I was like, well, I'd kind of like to do something that's kind of Mediterranean because I like the Mediterranean anyway. So it's very kind of like Portuguese flavored and Italian.
And also, when you get your Netflix series, you can go over and film in a nice place.
Yeah.
I like that thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that, and it's about there's genocide in it, which is always something nice to deal with. There's and kind of like lost history and like the subversion of truth, and like the truth is written by people who are in charge basically, and if someone believes something, then that is the truth, which is the way it is kind of these days. So it's kind of that kind of stuff that's into it. But it's the main story thrust is about an estranged mother and daughter that are kind of warrior mages, and one of them is stationed. She's been banished. Like the working title for it was called The Banished. Like that was the whole of the trilogy, and the mother's been banished for something that she's done in the past, which she regrets, and her daughter has kind of just cut her off completely because of this thing. And even though some people will say that what the thing she did was right and she had no other choice, the daughter and the mother come to kind of the same kind of mindset of there's always another way to solve something than violence and this and this. And that's kind of one of the main kind of messages of the first book, I suppose. Like, so the mother is like, there's three protagonists, so there's three different POVs, and it all kind of ends in this one point where the mother character is, and it's like this journey of trying to find another way to deal with this threat that's emerged. And it ends on quite a big cliffhanger. And the second one, I'm gonna just waiting to start working on it really. Like it's all plotted out. Like I'm usually not a massive plotter, but with the sequels that I've just like with Devil Walks in Blood and this one, I've plotted them from start to finish, just because I was like I need to know what I'm doing with them all, and like from my notes and everything. So
especially with such short deadlines as well, you can't.
Yeah, and I think it's when like because even Nick Halloran books, I know it's like noirish and there's like horror in it as well, but like at its core, it's an urban fantasy. So there's a lot of like rules that you have to remember that you've done, and like you can't contradict yourself from one book to the other, which I actually did in The Devil Walks with Blood. Like I got halfway through it and I was kind of looking at it, and I was like, I'm sure I said something completely different in the first book with this. But I was like, no, I didn't. So I kept on writing it. And then I was like, I need to check. So I went back and read the thing, and I was like, oh no. And then I had to go back and just like unpick loads of stuff and get back in. So anyway, the second one of the Dark Fantasy series, it's completely plotted. So as soon as like I've done the work that I need to do in the first book, it's straight on with that one. And it's it's going to go to some very kind of I mean, the first one's dark enough. One of the people that were beta reading it, there was one of the notes that they sent back to me. There was this, they just like highlighted one whole section, and they wrote, "This is as dark as fuck."
Best compliment ever. Yeah.
So it's something that is funny because I'm a big fantasy fan, and it's something that I kind of had in my head for a long time. That I was like, if I ever do this writing thing, I'm gonna write this. and kind of evolved after a while. But when I first started writing, I was always like, I'm not going to do fantasy because like I love fantasy so much. I'm not good enough to do it. Like I've just not got the skill level to do it. And then I just kind of, every time that I kind of was doing something, it was getting a little bit closer to like there's more fantasy elements coming into it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna. The Erie River put this call up saying that they were looking for either standalone fantasy novels that were going to be 80 to 100,000 words, or dark fantasy novella series. So it had to be a trilogy. So it had to be the first book, and you had to have like a synopsis for the second and third, or like a treatment for it. And it was like they posted it with a month before it opened, and it was like the deadline was open for a month. So I was like, I've got 2 months to do it. So I was like, I'm just going to do it and just see what happens. And because otherwise I'd regret not trying to do it. And I'd just finished writing Dead Man Walking. So I think if I hadn't tried Dead Man Walking, I probably wouldn't have done, because I snuck some fantasy stuff. That was my most fantasy-like thing that I'd written so far, and I just like snuck some things into it. And then I was like, right, I'm going to do it and just see what happens. And it worked out quite well. Like it's the world building side of it that kind of put me off, because I was kind of like, I just don't have I was doubting myself, and I was like, I just don't have the skill or the craft to be able to do this like that some other people can do. And but you know, I suppose it's the best thing to do is to try and see what happens.
That was one of the things that I was worried about as well, the world building. But now I've started doing it, it's like really like satisfying.
Yeah.
Especially like when I'm putting it onto the World Anvil thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it all knits together.
Yeah. It's great when you we create this like a bit of a history thing, and then it's like you've got this whole, and you might just like mention like one line of it in the book, but then you've got this whole big thing on like in your notes or on World Anvil, and it's like one day someone might look up that and they'd see this whole big thing that you've created as well in the background for it all.
And also there's like no shortage of story ideas, because I could go there and do something on that part of the world and that monster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's good. Like I'm glad that I'm very glad that I did it, but yeah, I think that's one of the things. Like I was interviewed on something there recently, and they were saying like it was like a live one, so people were asking questions, and they were like, "What's the biggest bit of advice that you'd give to someone?" And I was like, "Just do it and show it to people, because like you never know. Like eventually, if you wanna be a published writer, people are gonna read what you've written." So like, and that was the thing with me. It was like I was writing on my own for like a year, I suppose, before I started sending stuff out. I was just never send anything out to anyone. I'd never show it to anyone, because I was just like, I don't like this stuff, and no one else is going to like this stuff. So I'm just going to keep it on my computer, and that's it. And then it was like finally just getting it to send to someone, or finding someone that you can trust as a beta reader who's going to give you true advice and true feedback to say like, this works, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
The best bit of advice I ever got from someone was something, and they just put a line underneath it and wrote. They actually printed the thing off that I'd written, and they were like, "You're a better writer than this. Don't be so obvious with your writing." I was like, "Okay, right." So, and that was like really good advice that I kind of always look at when I'm doing something. So that's the thing, is just to do the thing, let someone look at it. The worst thing they can say is that it doesn't work, and then you've got the opportunity to make it better. So, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
It's true though, isn't it? You know, if once you've got words down, you can work with them, but you can't do anything with a blank page.
Exactly. And you can't do anything that's with something that's written and you've got it on your laptop and you've never shown it to anyone, because it's just that's the way. And it's like people get scared of showing it to other people, like, and not so much like publishers and everything. I think most people expect when you send stuff out. I know I do. I know like lots of people I talk to, they go, "Oh, I expect they're going to reject this," and when it's accepted, they're happy and whatever. So they don't really. There's not really the fear of doing that. The fear from a lot of people that I see is showing it to the friends and the peers and colleagues, and it's like that's the thing that you have to kind of break down, I suppose, because they're your friends, so they want you to do well, so they're going to help you. Like, Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I can send it. I'm happy with complete strangers reading it. But like, as soon as my mum's like, "Oh, I'm reading your book," no.
Yeah.
Well, I think I am all done with my questions. Janine, did you have anything?
No, I think we covered everything on the list. Yeah, definitely. Was there anything else that you wanted to let people know about, David? Anything else that's coming out or that you've got your finger in, which seems like many pies at the moment?
No, I think that's pretty much everything. There's an upcoming novella that we might get back to at some point this year, though. Me and Janine have been doing.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
I'll definitely, like, whenever your schedule's free, I'll clear mine as well. We can finish that off. Uh,
definitely.
that's it really. Like, it's an exciting year ahead. Like, and it's I feel like last year was like such a weird year for everyone, but it was like I see like loads of people like you two as well that had so much success last year, and it works out really really well for both of you. And I think a lot of people are going to get like the rewards of what all the hard work they put in last year this year. So it's exciting to see. Like, and I can't wait to read a load of stuff that everyone's been working on for the last year or so and get it all out there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where can people find you, David?
Usually in my bedroom writing. Sometimes in the kitchen. I am. The best place to find me is my newsletter, I suppose, these days. But you can get that on my website, which is just davidgreenwriter.com. And there is a little sign up button. If you sign up for it, you get a free short story called The Devils of Jersey, which is like a turn of the 20th century horror story about the Jersey Devils, funnily enough. But it's going to be changing soon, and this is going to be the free story that you get next month.
Very
Ah,
good.
so we've got to sign up quickly to get the other one.
Yeah, exactly. I'll probably send it out at some other points to everyone as well. But yeah, you get that, and then obviously with the newsletter, there's other kind of like things that you get from there, short stories and exclusive news, giveaways, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's probably the best place.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for
This
having
was
me.
a lot of fun.
It's great. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Well done. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.